Alrighty, so today we're going to talk about Don Garber annual State of the League address. Now, unlike last year, I didn't watch the Don Garber annual State of the League address live. In fact, I actually didn't even watch it this year, unlike last year, so I didn't take notes while the State of the League address was going on. But I did read a couple of different articles related to the State of the League address and just give a summary in terms of what happened in the State of the League address. And in this video, I'll also give a summary in terms of what's going to happen in the future of the league and some really interesting point that Don Gabbert have mentioned. And one of them is the fourth DP spot. So I've talked about this in the News of the Week episode, how, there's a question of whether or not if MLS indeed is going to add a fourth DP spot. And we have heard numerous reports saying that it seems like they're about to add it. It seems like the league is going to vote it. But when Don Gabber was asked that question, he says no. He says that the league has no plan in terms of adding a fourth designated player spot, but he did mention that they are going to have a board meeting next week and they're going to talk about something related to that. Now, I'm not sure is that anything to do with expanding the roster because I think it is pretty clear that heading into next season, they have to do something in terms of changing the roster rule. I mean, you have heard a lot of players and coaches complain about how this season has just been so intense. It's been stretching to the brinks in terms of the roster that they had, and also you can see that there are some ambitious owners that are very frustrated because of the limitability in terms of what you can span and basically are already filled up in terms of the DP spot, and a fourth DP spot might help that situation. But like I said, no Don Gabbard says that he has no plan in terms of adding a fourth DP, but it'll be very interesting to see whether or not if he's gonna make changes to the roster rule. Now, the other thing that he mentioned is that he still says that there's no plan of expansion past 30 team. Now, this is something that I think he mentioned last year too, where he mentioned that there is going to be a 30th MLS team, but after that, it's kind of all up in the air. But this year, it seems like it's kind of the same thing. He says that there's no plan of adding a 30 team, but we're always open for a future expansion. Now, last year I said that when Don Gabbard says that, secretly he's saying that yeah, there's going to be more than 30 team, and I'm going to reiterate what I said last year. I think there's going to be more than 30 team. I don't think this league is going to stop expanding in 30 team. I think we're getting to a point where if they do expand to 30 team, you wonder are they going to change the format in terms of, well, are we going to still stick with the two conference, or are we going to go with division, as some people have mentioned that if we do go to 32 or 36 team, we might break it into division like other American sports, or the fact that we might have promotion and relegation where you have two different MLS. But at least for now, Don Gabber have said that he's happy that San Diego is going to come into the league in 2025. But after that, there is still a big question mark of who exactly is going to come into the league as the 31st team, or if we're going to have a 31st team. I mean, I'm pretty sure there is going to be a 31st team, especially with the way that Vegas is still up on the table, and secretly Don Gabber won Vegas to come into the league. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a 31st and 32nd team coming in the near future. Now, Don Gabbard have also said that he's actually happy with the current playoff format, but they will also reevaluate with the committee in February. Now, obviously, the playoff format has been one of the most hotly debated topic recently. There's been a mixed response in terms of the current playoff format. Well, more toward the response of people saying that it's not good whatsoever and they don't like it. And it's interesting that Don Gabber, of course, mentioned that, and that again, there are definitely some criticism in terms of this playoff format. It is just way too long, especially with the fact that it's hard to believe people still remember that yeah, the playoffs is still happening in November, even though we just took like a 2 to 3 week break because of the international break. But that also kind of brings up to the next point in terms of, well, they're going to change the playoff format. Are they going to maybe change the regular season format too? Now, Darren Gabbard have said that they're thinking about changing the regular season format because one of the things that has been been a big criticism in terms of even the regular season format is that there's just way too many games. Like there's just way too many games in a short amount period. Players and coaches have been complaining about this, and I'm pretty sure Don Gabber have heard those complaints. He even said that for the safety of the players, they're gonna try to adjust the schedule so that teams are not going to be playing so many games in a short amount of period. But what he also said is that heading into next season, knowing that we do have a major tournament next year here in the U.S. with Copa America 2024 going to happen in the U.S. and that's going to be happening. I think it was June 20th all the way to July 16th. He said that MLS will not take a pause doing Copa America 2024. They're going to play through Copa America 2024. Now, it's interesting that when he mentioned play through Copa America 2024, does that mean that the league is not going to take a break? Because we've seen it before where the league take a break during the Gold Cup. Well, at least for the group stage, that is. Once we get to the knockout round, that's when the league basically resume. I wonder if that's going to be the same case with how the league is going to do. They might take a break during the first couple of weeks of Copa America 2024, and then once things gets to the knockout round, then the league basically continue because obviously teams are not going to be happy the fact that they're going to have to play Copa America 2024 because a lot of these teams are going to lose some of their players for regular season game because of Copa America 2024, and that's just as bad as losing players during the international break. Like one of the things that is a big criticism is the fact that uh, the the league is still playing games during the international break, and teams hate it. The fact that they're basically are losing player because of them doing international duty, even though some of these games during international break could be crucial game that could be a playoff deciders, so forth. And speaking of playing during the international break, Don Garber actually didn't mention that throughout the State of the League address, and this is despite the fact that we have heard there's reports saying that it seems like MLS is going to stop playing games during international break, which I think it's been long overdue. Like it is long overdue the fact that the league should not be playing game during international break, and especially with the way that I think it only took for Lionel Messi comes into the league, and that I'm pretty sure Don Gabber is knowing that they don't want to have another situation where yeah you're going to see some of these casual fans gets to watch Inter Miami and watch Messi play, and then they basically tune out of it because well Messi is not playing there because Inter Miami is playing an international break and so forth. But in all in all, I think that if it is going to be the case once they do make the schedule, um, I think they are not going to have games during international break, which is going to be a huge relief for a lot of team. But that being said, because of the fact that you will have games that are not going to be during international break, the schedule just gets more condensed and more uh more congested as we seen before, and this is where maybe this is the reason why Gabbard have said that they have to play through Copa America 2024 because there's just no space in terms of afford to take a maybe about a month of break and then basically fit all that schedule with even the Leeds Cup to be in mind. Which, speaking of the Leeds Cup, I'll talk about a little bit about the Leeds Cup in just a bit. But one thing that Don Gabber have also mentioned is that they are thinking about taking a different approach for the World Cup in 2026. Now, obviously, the 2026 World Cup is happening here in the U.S., in Canada, and also in Mexico. And there is no doubt that I think the league is going to have to stop play because of the World Cup. There is no way in the world they should be playing MLS game during the World Cup because this is the World Cup we're talking about. This is literally the event that pretty much every fans around the country is going to flock into the U.S. and that there's just no way you would think about playing league games doing the World Cup like this. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what kind of approach that they take. I mean, Don Gabber have mentioned some of the problem that the league might have to figure it out in terms of changing the schedule with the heat that is going on during the summer, and also most importantly the wintry weather in the northern city, because again this league could easily follow the European calendar between August to May if it wasn't for the cold weather that is happening. I mean, there is no way in the world you could ask asked me that Minnesota United can play a home game at Allianz Field in February. I mean, did you see how the U.S. play against Honduras at Allianz Field in February? There is no way that's gonna happen in an MLS game, and I think the league knows it too. Like no players or no fans will even agree to have that to be a possibility. So yeah, that's something that Don Gabber basically have mentioned because of the wintry weather, and also, that's kind of just common sense of why exactly the league has still not switched to an August to May schedule. Now, Don Gabbard have also mentioned that the revised schedule is to preserve safety of the players. Again, that's something that I've mentioned before. And then he also mentioned the usual story of Messi and of course his impact of coming to MLS. I'm not going to mention too much about it because you probably have already heard about it a lot. I don't think I need to reiterate again because that's just kind of getting old news. But one thing that I want to mention that I mentioned earlier in this video is the Leeds Cup. So the Leeds Cup will continue next year and beyond. There's no plan that they're going to stop having the Leeds Cup. And I will say that the Leeds Cup, I was a little bit skeptical in the beginning of how things would go. I actually like it. I really enjoyed the Leeds Cup. It really brings me that MLS is back term and kind of vibe doing the Leeds Cup, and especially just some crazy things that has happened in these Leeds Cup game. I would be definitely welcome to have another edition of it. Now, obviously, I know there are going to be some minority fans or even some fans will disagree because it just provides chaos in terms of the schedule, and the Leeds Cup obviously the other issue is that it does take a huge chunk of the calendar of the MLS schedule, and that this is where, of course, where the flexibility becomes an issue in terms of making the MLS schedule and trying to fit everything because you want to take a break in terms of other major tournament like Copa America 2024 I've mentioned, but you kind of can't because we still have the Leagues Cup, and that basically forced the league to stop the season for over a month. Now, Gabbard also mentioned about the Apple TV deal, and he had a meeting with Apple TV CEO Tim Cook, and Tim Cook has mentioned that MLS Season Pass actually over deliver in terms of all their expectation. Now, notice how they kind of loosely use that word, and so far, Apple TV and Apple haven't really released any figures in terms of how the ratings is and how the subscription is. But I will say that I do believe it when they said that they think that it has exceed expectation, mainly because when Messi comes into the league, this is when Apple TV subscription really skyrocketed. I mean, again, this goes back to the impact of Lionel Messi. Not only just really become a watershed moment, having the greatest player of all time play in this league, but also just the most casual fans around the world and around the country are basically now have their eyes on MLS and basically are subscribing to this Apple TV thing because they want to have a chance to see Messi on TV. So there's no doubt that is one of the driving reason why the MLS season pass is a success, because I have heard that before Messi arrived, things were looking a little bit dire in terms of how things were with the Apple TV season pass. And I don't blame them because, again, I'm not sure if I did a video of this already in terms of looking at the pros and cons of Apple TV season pass, because the pro obviously is the fact that now you can actually watch all the games, including the one that is not locally blacked out, and that's kind of been a very frustrating thing for some fans in their region where they have games that are basically behind a regional network that is not available through cable, and they can't watch their games. And I know that from my experience, I don't really have too much experience of that watching Quakes game, and the same goes for Minnesota United games. But I know that there's a lot of Loons fans that have mentioned how they're very frustrated the fact that Loons games are on Bally Sports North, and that Bally Sports North has had an issue in terms of fans unable to watch it because it's kind of behind a paywall, and certain cable doesn't actually cover Bally Sports as their network. So yeah, having games that are on a single streaming platform, you don't have to worry about being on a regional network because of a potential blackout, and also so behind a paywall is a big bonus. The problem, of course, is the fact that that's another subscription that you have to pay, and the amount that it was for a year, especially for new and casual fans. I mean, that is a really steep price to pay for if you're just gonna watch one team. Because I'm pretty sure that unless you're like me, that basically watch every MLS game and basically do reviews of every MLS game, I'm pretty sure not a lot of people is gonna watch how the other team is being played, even though there's an option to do so. So because of that, I mean, just if you're just simply getting Apple TV just to be able to watch your team play, well, you're pretty much forced to do it now that they're on Apple TV and they're not on the regional network anymore. I can see why there's fans that were very upset about this, and that the the amount of subscription in the beginning maybe was not at the level that TV and Apple was hoping it was going to be the case. And then finally, the last thing that I want to mention from Don Gabbard annual State of League address is the schedule release. So this is actually the first time I think I've ever seen in the State of the League address by Don Gabbard that he actually mentioned when the schedule is going to be released. So for a while, there's always been speculation of exactly when the schedule is going to release. Usually around this time of year, we usually get like the home opener of every single team, or the first couple of games of every single team, and then in January we're gonna have the full schedule. This year is gonna be a little bit different. Don Gabbard have mentioned that the schedule will indeed be released on December 20th. And the season, of course, will be starting in late February. Most likely, it's gonna be the final week of February, which I think for the final weekend of this year, February, or actually next year, February, that is, I think it's like around February 24th or around the 25th, but either way, it's going to be interesting thing to see when the schedule is released, because I want to see how the format is going to be. I'm assuming it's probably going to be still the same as last year. I expect that we maybe will get a little bit of break in June because of Copa America, similar to what we saw with Gold Cup. But after that, we are going to see the Leeds Cup that is going to be happening around, I think, July, and even heading into August, and the season, of course, will take a pause. And then it'll be also interesting to see whether if we're going to get hints in terms of how the playoff format is going to look. Now, one thing I'm really hoping this year, or heading into this next upcoming season, is that they actually tell us the playoff format before the season began, because I think this year they kind of told us very late, even after the season began, and it was kind of crazy that they mentioned it, that because it just changed everything in terms of how teams focus on the season. And that, again, this is where I go back to the problem with the playoff format and why a lot of people hate it. It's not just because it's extremely long, but it also so now means that the regular season is kind of meaningless, because when you look at the playoffs, I mean, pretty much every single team except for the ninth place team is gonna get a home game. Well, unless if the ninth place team get a win in that wild card round, they're gonna guarantee themselves a home game. So that's kind of been appreciated in terms of how the format is, and especially with the fact that we have seen from this playoff, and we're very fortunate this time we haven't seen a situation where the team that won game one, but then they lost their next two games, and that fans of those teams that get eliminated because they lost their next two games will be frustrated, because, well, in the old format, we would have easily went through. We didn't have to deal with the free game shenanigans. So yeah, it's going to be interesting that when they do announce the schedule, whether or not if they're going to announce the playoff format too. I'm not expecting that it's going to be the case, but I do expect them to probably announce it before the season begin. I would think it's probably going to be February they're going to announce the playoff format, because as I've also mentioned in this video, I think I've mentioned how Don Gabbert have said that they will reevaluate with the committee in February. When they do reevaluate it, I think that's when we're going to get some news of how the playoff format is going to look. I think it could change. It could not, but we shall see in February of how things will turns out. But yeah, let me know in the comments below. What do you think of this video? What do you think of some of the things that Don Gabbard have said about how this upcoming season is going to look like? But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.